Welcome to Lean Muscle Gains, the series where we build muscle naturally, efficiently, and without needing a PhD in bro science. You ever feel like half the fitness advice out there is just some dude yelling "go hard, bro," while dry scooping pre-workout in a parking lot? Yeah, we're not doing that here. This is a 5-part deep dive where we break down what actually works with your training, your recovery, your mindset, and yes, even that thing you call a meal plan. Don't worry, no salad shaming here. If you've ever eaten chicken and rice with your fingers in a gym bag, you're among friends. Today is part 1, and we're starting with the basics. No, not bicep curls, although we'll get there. We're talking about hypertrophy. That's the sciencey word for muscle growth. And if you're trying to grow lean, aesthetic muscle, you need to understand this. Think of this episode as the first date with your gains. Before you get hands-on, you should probably know what turns muscle on, right? Metaphorically speaking, we don't do candlelit dumbbell dinners here. So, what is hypertrophy? What triggers it? Why do some guys grow like weeds and others just stay soft like a gluten-free pancake? Let's break it down. Real science. No fluff. No hype. Just the why behind every rep you'll ever do. Alright, so let's break this thing down from the top. Because if we're gonna build real muscle, not that temporary pump flex you chase before beach day, then we need to understand what's actually going on under the skin. So hypertrophy. Yeah, it sounds like a medical condition you'd Google at 2 a.m. But in the gym world, it's gold. It's the fancy name for what happens when your muscle fibers get bigger, not longer, not duplicated like some sci-fi cloning experiment, just thicker, denser, and stronger. Your body takes the fibers you've already got and beefs them up like a protein shake with trust issues. Now, some people confuse hypertrophy with something called hyperplasia, which is when your body actually makes more muscle fibers. And while that sounds cool, it's not really a thing in humans unless you're some kind of lab-tested mutant or got your DNA mixed with a gorilla. So yeah, for the rest of us mortals, we're stuck working with what we've got. Hypertrophy is the game, and understanding how that game works, that's what separates progress from plateaus. So now you're probably thinking, cool, muscles get bigger, but like how? Well, there's actually more than one way for a muscle to grow. The 2 types of hypertrophy. Yeah, muscles are complicated like that. One gives you that strong, dense, can carry all the groceries in one trip look. The other gives you that inflated Instagram thirst trap at 3 p.m. kind of vibe. First up, myofibrillar hypertrophy. This is the kind of growth where your actual contractile muscle fibers get denser. More strength, more power, more function. The kind of stuff that makes your bones feel like they have backup. It's what most strength athletes chase. Powerlifters, Olympic lifters, or anyone who looks like they could deadlift a car and still jog home after. Then there's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, which sounds like something you'd need antibiotics for. But trust me, you want this too. This one increases the fluid and energy storage inside the muscle cell. Basically, it fills the muscle out. More volume, more size, more yo. Why is this dude's shirt so tight around the sleeves? Think of it like this. Myofibrillar equals strength and function. Sarcoplasmic equals size and style. Together, that's how you get that lean, strong, aesthetic physique. Not just a big frame, but a useful one. Because if your biceps look like balloons, but you can't open a jar of peanut butter, bro, what are we even doing here? Now let's get into the juice. Because muscle doesn't grow just because you show up to the gym with a motivational quote and a shaker bottle. There are actual mechanisms that trigger hypertrophy. And if you're not training with these in mind, you're basically just sweating out hope. There are 3 key drivers of muscle growth, and every good program uses them in some combination. They are mechanical tension, muscle damage, and metabolic stress. Sounds complicated, I know. But don't worry, we're gonna break it down like it owes us money. Let's start with mechanical tension. This is the main character. It's what happens when you lift heavy, but with control. Not ego lifting and throwing weights around like a toddler with a tantrum. We're talking full range of motion, slow eccentrics, mind-muscle connection. You want the muscle under tension for as long as possible, like it's holding a grudge. Next up, muscle damage. And no, not "I messed up my back doing ego deadlifts" kind of damage. We're talking microscopic tears in the muscle fibers that tell your body, yo, we need to rebuild this, but stronger. That's why controlled overload, new movement patterns, and tempo work matter. And yeah, DOMS, that soreness you get the next day, can be a sign of damage. But chasing soreness like it's a badge of honor? That's gym rookie behavior. You don't need to limp for 3 days to know you trained hard. You're not in a Rocky montage. You're trying to grow smart. Then we've got metabolic stress. The pump, the burn, that sweet, borderline inappropriate feeling when your muscles start screaming mid-set and you start negotiating with the universe to get through the last 3 reps. This happens with higher reps, short rest periods, and more volume. It creates a chemical environment in your muscle that screams, all right, fine, we'll grow. Just please make it stop. And yeah, this is the stuff that makes you look jacked in the mirror for about 15 minutes before your body remembers it's still natural. But it does matter, because metabolic stress triggers muscle growth through a whole different set of signals: cellular swelling, hormonal response, nutrient delivery. In other words, it's the cherry on top of your training split. So, real growth doesn't come from just lifting heavy, and it doesn't come from just chasing the pump. It comes from understanding how to stress your muscles intelligently, using all 3 mechanisms in the right doses at the right times. It's not about training harder, it's about training smarter. Unless you're into wasting years at the gym just hoping things change, which, let's be honest, is basically the fitness version of texting your ex. And with that, we're just getting warmed up. All right, so now that you know what hypertrophy is and how to trigger it, let's clear the air. Because there's a lot of gym floor mythology floating around out there, and some of it's about as accurate as your cousin's crypto advice. Let's start with a classic. Heavy weights only build strength. Nope. False. Wrong again, Chad. The truth. Heavy weights are a key driver of hypertrophy. Remember mechanical tension? That doesn't come from tickling dumbbells. It comes from lifting like your muscles owe you rent. Now sure, low rep, heavy sets might bias more towards strength, but if you pair it with the right volume and control, that stuff builds dense, lean muscle just fine. It's not just powerlifters, it's science. Now onto the soreness myth. You have to feel sore to grow. Look, we've all done the walk of shame after leg day. You know, that stiff, robotic limp where strangers wonder if you've been in a mild accident. But soreness is a side effect, not a requirement. DOMS means you introduced a new stimulus, not that you had a productive workout. You can grow without being crippled the next day. In fact, if you're sore all the time, you might be overtraining or under-recovering, which is basically gains sabotage with extra steps. All right, now the juicy one. The pump equals growth. Ah yes, the post-set mirror check. Veins popping, sleeve stretching. You look like a Greek statue with a Snapchat filter. But here's the thing, the pump is temporary. It feels great, it looks great, but it's not the same as actual long-term hypertrophy. The pump is mostly blood, glycogen, and cellular swelling. It's part of metabolic stress, one of the tools we use. But if you're just chasing that feeling without applying progressive overload, you're basically chasing a muscle illusion, a very swole mirage. So yeah, lift heavy and smart. Soreness isn't your measuring stick. And the pump, treat it like a gym fling fun, but not marriage material. And now that we've crushed some myths, let's talk about something that does matter, but not in the way most people think. Genetics. Ah yes, the great excuse of every guy who skips leg day and blames bad calves. Now look, genetics do play a role. They influence your muscle fiber type, your recovery speed, even your ceiling for size and shape. Some people are naturally more explosive. Some people just look at a dumbbell and grow. And others? Well, they've got to grind like a diesel engine in winter. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Genetics set the stage, but you write the script. Training quality, consistency, sleep, nutrition, recovery. Those things matter a lot more than your DNA. Because most people haven't even come close to reaching their natural potential. They're blaming their genes. But in reality, they're just not showing up consistently enough to see what their body can actually do. And if you've been telling yourself, I just don't have the genetics for this, well, That's like blaming your steering wheel for not knowing where to drive. So let's bring it home, because this is where the real transformation begins. You understand hypertrophy now. You know the mechanisms, the myths, the mindset. But how does it actually happen over time? It's called progressive overload. That means gradually increasing the stress you put on your muscles. More weight, more reps, more control, more intent. Week by week, month by month, year by year. Your body, it adapts to whatever you throw at it, but only if you keep increasing the challenge. If you bench the same weight for the same reps every week, you're not training, you're just rehearsing. Now here's the thing no one wants to hear. Hypertrophy takes time. Natural, sustainable, quality muscle growth. That's a long game. No shortcuts, no magic programs, just consistent overload, recovery, and fuel, repeated for years. Yeah, I said it, years, because building muscle is a lot like building wealth. If you want to cash out later, you got to invest now and often. So, wherever you are right now, just starting or stuck on a plateau, remember this: you can grow, you will grow, but only if you treat this like a craft, not a quick fix. And the good news? We're just getting started. So now you've got the blueprint. You know what hypertrophy is, not just the word, but the process. You know it's not about lifting like a maniac or chasing soreness for bragging rights. It's about creating the right kind of stress, tension, damage, and that sweet, sweet metabolic pump, so your body adapts and actually grows. And now that you've got the why behind muscle growth locked in, next up, the how. Volume, intensity, frequency, rep ranges. All the juicy stuff you see in programs, but never fully understood. We're breaking all of it down in part 2, and trust me, once you understand those dials, you'll know exactly how to tweak your training to make your muscles say, okay, chill, will grow. Spiral calendar, and just so you know, I drop a new video every single week, so you can expect part 2 next week. Same time, same place, no fluff, just gains. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss it. But real quick, before we move on, I want to drop a little suggestion that'll tie this all together. You ever feel like you're training right, but your body isn't changing much? Maybe you're lifting hard, but also gaining a belly faster than biceps? Or maybe you're scared to eat more because you think bulking equals ballooning. Yeah, that's a whole different problem. And it's got nothing to do with reps or sets. It's about your overall phase. Bulking, maintaining, cutting, and when to do what. So here's my suggestion. After this, check out a video I made a while back. How to build muscle without getting fat. It's sitting right there on the right side of your screen. Next to that, recommended video YouTube's throwing at you. That video breaks down how to structure your eating and training over time. So you're not just building muscle, but also staying lean, avoiding fat gain, and knowing exactly what phase you should be in right now. Now before you click off, I got one favor to ask. If you made it this far, drop a comment. Literally say anything. Tell me your favorite muscle. Tell me what you're struggling with. Tell me you watched this while pooping. I don't care. Just hit the comments. It helps me get pushed by the algorithm, and that helps another brother out there trying to figure this gym life out. So go watch that other video if you're ready to fix your bulk. Stay tuned for part 2 next week if you're ready to train smart. And until then, eat your protein, train like a savage, and above all, stay a chimp.